Hello, everyone. We're halfway through the book of Ecclesiastes this week, but it's really more of the same. Solomon continues to talk not only about the meaning of life, but what is not the meaning of life. For the first 6 chapters, he has gone through several different instances where this is not the meaning of life. This is not the meaning of life. This is not the meaning of life. Don't waste your time on it. He talks more about that in these next chapters in the second half of the book too. So chapter 7 continues with that theme, the pursuit of happiness. We're familiar with that phrase because of our founding fathers when they said that we had the right to pursue happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this is really the American theme. This is why Americans do what they do, to be happy. Solomon says, even that is kind of pointless. The main point of chapter 7 then is this: being happy should not be your goal. Sometimes it's actually more beneficial for you when life is not so pleasant. The key verse to talk about in chapter 7 is in verse 3. Grief is better than laughter, Solomon says, because a sad face does a heart good. Now, we might make some implications and some applications from that. Sometimes a sad face does a heart good because we are reminded about who we are. We are pointed to our Savior. We have to cling to His Word. All of those would be really good things to think about as we read not only this verse in chapter 7, but really the entire chapter. These are the things that you need to know as you go through chapter 7. It's a lot like the book of Proverbs in a way. Some of these words of advice that Solomon lays down for us in chapter 7 don't always seem to have a connection from one to another, but they are very good words of advice because Solomon is smart. He is the wisest man that has ever lived, and he wants us to understand how we should function in this world. Notice verse 10 too. He asks us to avoid a common saying that we still use in our culture today. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to read it for yourself. What else do you need to know? Solomon reminds us in verse 14 that both good and bad things are sent by God, but each one is sent for our benefit. And then finally, the very last verse in this chapter is a nice little summary of the many failed attempts of people searching and searching and searching for the meaning of life and never finding it. You're not going to find it in your own attempts. You're going to find it, of course, in the Lord and His Word. And Solomon is building up to that crescendo. Now that you know what you need to know in chapter 7, here is the summary, the meaning of life. It's not being as happy as you can. That shouldn't be your goal. That should not be your aim. Solomon understands that that's really not going to work, and you'll live this life unfulfilled. Time to read Ecclesiastes chapter 7. And as you read that, remember that Solomon had everything in this world that people think will make them happy. He had the riches. He had the experiences. He had the possessions. He had the accomplishments and the achievements. He had the respect and the honor. All that didn't work. He found that that wasn't really the meaning of life, to just be happy. Have fun reading Ecclesiastes 7. This should hit home, because we live in a culture and at a time where happiness seems to be the number one goal. It shouldn't be, and you're going to find out why. Have a good rest of the week. Look forward to leading you through chapter 7 Ecclesiastes next Wednesday.